Working out with only the intention of weight loss is fatphobic.
Take your skinny ass and sit in any other fucking chair.
When will you motherfuckers learn that your body dysmorphia is not an excuse to be fatphobic?
Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're just going to be reacting to some fat acceptance TikToks that I think are pretty cringy. Okay, yeah, let's get into this video.
Person says a lot of smaller people choose to sit in the wider chairs at doctors and hospitals, leaving me to either ask them to move or sit in pain. This is something that infuriates me. So thin people will talk about how thin privilege is fake. They will talk about how fat phobia is fake. They will talk about how we should not be accommodated as fat people, and then they will literally take everything meant for us. Like, if you're small and you see that there is one chair that's extra wide, take your skinny ass and sit in any other chair in the entire goddamn building and leave the double wide chair, the one double wide chair they have, for fat asses like me, please. There are literally every other chair in the building is made for you, and you can't save these chairs for fat people. Similarly to, like, you know, when people thrift clothes and they take all of the bigger sizes, even though they literally could pick from anything in the store, leaving poor fat people completely screwed and unable to find clothes at thrift stores. Like, it's so frustrating. Thank you for this comment.
How are chairs fatphobic? I mean, I'm not going to completely fight the statement that, you know, wider chairs would make fat people more comfortable. I'm sure they would. But it's kind of like, if you really think about it, the normal regular sized chairs in doctors' offices are made for, you know, regular sized people, average sized people. At the end of the day, if you can't fit them, you're just too big. Like, I'm so sick and tired of people in the body positivity community going on and on about how things aren't regularly made for them, and the ones that are skinny and some people should stay away from. It's literally so annoying. And they don't just talk about chairs in doctors' offices, they talk about freaking plane seats, bathtubs, clothes in thrift stores are fatphobic to them. Literally every single thing, or most things in our society, or items in our society, are made for average sized people. So if you're, you know, a bit obese, it's not going to fit you, I'm sorry to say. And the whole thing about thrifting clothes, I think a lot of people do take bigger size clothes just because there's more to do with them. I don't really thrift, so I don't know much to say about that. But I think the reason there aren't like many clothes in thrift stores for fat people isn't because skinny people keep taking them. It's because fat people, I can't say all of fat people, but I'm just saying, you know, a lot of fat people who tend to get hot and sweaty, and their clothes wear away easier just because of the excess, like, you know, friction from their skin on their clothes. It wears away their clothes. So the clothes aren't as donatable as they would be if they were fresh. So that's why.
And death and love and birth and peace and war on the planet Earth. Is there any...
So, like, we're just gonna completely ignore the fact that body dysmorphia exists, and they might literally see themselves as twice your...
What is it with people who have eating disorders and are thin that refuse to believe they are fatphobic because of their eating disorder? I've been in treatment for months, and these bitches are like, no, I can't be fatphobic, it's my eating disorder's fault. Your eating disorder is fatphobic. No one said it was your fault, but it's still fatphobic. You have to understand that eating disorders with the intention to control weight are rooted in fatphobia. And without that, you can never fully recover from your eating disorder or have a healthy relationship with food. And if you are not treated like a fat person in society, calling yourself fat in a derogatory way is harmful to actual fat people.
People in the fat acceptance community really need to get over the notion that, you know, body dysmorphic disorder and eating disorders are fatphobic. Like, literally what? People with body dysmorphia, basically, they can view themselves as way bigger or way smaller than they actually are. Some people just really can't, you know, see what they really look like when they look into the mirror, and that's just not their fault. And I'm so sick of all these like fat liberation activists going off on them, talking about it's fatphobic. It's got literally nothing to do with you. It genuinely shocks me how so many people that follow this movement find a way to twist and invalidate everyone else's problems. And they go on and on about, yeah, you know, it's rooted in fat phobia, and if you can only get over your internalized fat phobia, these problems will go away. It makes no sense, number one. And if they actually bother to do their research, they find out that body dysmorphic disorder and other eating disorders like anorexia, bulimia, BDD, they're psychological problems. So do they think they're fat? Yeah. Has it got a single thing to do with you? I don't think so.
Working out with only the intention of weight loss is fatphobic and can lead to unhealthy habits. Working out for health is good, and people can do what they want. Obviously, I'm not gonna tell people what they can and can't do. I don't care what you do with your body, but we need to remember that lower weight, being below obese or underweight, which BMI is a whole nother thing, does not equal health. It is zero indication of health in any way. To know if someone is healthy, you need to run a full panel of blood tests. You need to be doing actual checking of their body, because weight is not an indicator of health. Things like sudden weight change can be an indication of other health problems, but that's the problem, not the weight.
Forgetting the BMI scale completely for just 1 second, right? I think we all know you don't need a full panel blood test to know whether someone is obese or not. I mean, we've got eyes to see, and I'm pretty sure, again, everyone knows that, you know, when someone carries more weight on them, they're carrying more fatty tissue. I thought that was common knowledge. I was wrong. My bad. And the whole thing about working out, you know, to lose weight and how it can lead to disordered eating and how it's fatphobic. It doesn't always lead to disordered eating. That's not always the case. And they're just generally some people who've got loads of weight on them, maybe like 300, 600 pounds, and their doctors told them that, you know, they can, in the foreseeable future, maybe they can develop some health problems, maybe their lifespan will be shortened if they don't lose this weight. They've just got to lose this weight. I mean, it's their choice, obviously. Why is it a problem? I think it's so ironic how in the fat liberation movement, when you gain all this weight, people are like, treat yourself, love yourself, girl, you go queen. And good on them for saying that, I guess. But it's like, when you lose weight, you're a fatphobic enemy. Why?
Is it fatphobic to not want yourself to be fat? The biggest defense of that argument is like, why is it a problem for me to have a preference about the way that my body looks? First of all, preferences don't exist in a vacuum. The reason that you would prefer to have a thin body is because of society's fat phobia. Duh. That is not an isolated thought that you came up with. So yeah, it is your preference, but do some critical thinking. Where did that come from? And two, I think that's a super bogus and lazy way to like write off this whole conversation. Because if people really started to question, why do we think this way and why do we value thinness so much, it would cause everyone to have to get more involved with fat liberation, and they just don't want to.
No, I don't want to be fat just because I like being slim. I like my current size, and I don't think there's much of a problem with that. I don't really understand how if you were to question a fat person who wants to stay fat, like why don't they want to lose weight, this or that, it's fatphobic and it's a problem. But as soon as you do the same thing to a slim or skinny person who doesn't, you know, who just wants to stay slim or skinny, it's a whole question. It needs to be assessed. There's something wrong with it. It's just ridiculous. The most ridiculous part is how she kind of tries to blame it on society, like society tells us not to want to be fat. Like, I don't think there's a grand explanation. Some people just don't want to be fat. Like, it's really not that deep. All I have to say is if someone were to ask you the same question, like, oh, you're fat, why don't you want to be slim? Keep the same energy.
Still don't understand why going to the gym makes me fat phobic. I literally worked hard for my body. Why are you trying to shame me for it? Going to the gym does not make you fat phobic. Going to the gym so that you can look a certain way and have a certain body image does make you fat phobic because there's absolutely nothing healthy about a certain body size. No, that's just how you measure success at the gym. No, success surrounding physical fitness can be measured and should be measured by your ability to lift more, to do more reps, to run faster, to make the activities easier. When you're just focused on size, yeah, that would make me fat phobic. So now I'm a bad person and I just shouldn't work out. Fat phobia is not a derogatory term. So why bring up the point that I might be fat phobic? Because fat phobia is a social justice issue and some people want to leave this world a better place for their children.
First off, when does fat phobia become a social justice issue? So many people go to the gym for the sole purpose of just to look a certain way. Whether it's to lose fat and gain muscle, whether it's to build bigger biceps, whether it's to get a bigger bum. You get what I'm trying to say. Many people do that. I'm not saying all people go to the gym to change their current appearance and look different. Just saying a lot of people do that. There's the fact that this girl works at the gym and she's saying such nonsense. But I don't understand why it has to be such a personal problem to you as if they're attacking you. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Let's talk about thin privilege. Thin privilege is defined as the power and advantages systematically accorded to people with thinner and smaller bodies. Some examples of thin privilege include not being denied medical care because of your weight, airlines not charging you more money to fly, and being more likely to get a raise or promotion than your fat counterparts, as well as being able to comfortably fit into public transit seats and even hospital gowns. A lot of people have argued that thin privilege isn't real because thin people have also experienced body shaming for being too thin and have body image issues like everybody else. But as Christy Harrison beautifully put, having thin privilege doesn't mean that you've never had any body image issues, or that you've never struggled with disordered eating, or that you've never been bullied or shamed by people for your size. Fat phobia goes beyond bullying. It includes being dehumanized and systematically ignored and discriminated against in healthcare, education, employment, you name it. Thin privilege highlights the systemic disparity in the treatment between fat people and non-fat people. And because people usually get really angry whenever thin privilege or privilege in general is mentioned, this is not an attack on thin people. This is a critique of the fat phobia that's embedded within society and how fat phobia pervades life in seemingly trivial, mundane ways. Take some time to think about how you might benefit from or be harmed by thin privilege, and how you might perpetuate fat phobia in your daily life.
It's not thin privilege to be able to fit in an airplane seat. I think a lot of fat liberation activists, portray thin privilege as thin people being able to do certain things or have certain things because of their smaller size, and it's completely out of fat people's control. And while I will say that there is a degree of discrimination towards larger people in the medical care settings, so in hospitals, and it doesn't always happen. It's not, friggin' thin privilege to be able to fit in a plane seat. And the whole idea that, it's kind of fat phobic to expect fat people to pay more, to fit in airplane seats, for big airplane seats, I don't think it's so fat phobic, to be so honest. I mean, it depends on their size. If they're weighing like a good 300 pounds, then you can't really expect the flight to do that seat for free, because in airplanes, the average seats are the size they are, not because of thin privilege, just because of the production cost. And if you expect people to accommodate you more, then you should be able to pay more. Because I've seen so many people, so many body positivity people on TikTok talk about this whole airplane thing, and it's kind of like they make airlines seem to be the bad guys, they're fat phobic. No, it's just more production costs. It's going to cost the airline more. And these are costs the fat people are not willing to bear. So why should the airline bear these costs to make you more comfortable when it's not even their fault? Just because you can't fit in a chair or something, doesn't make the industry fat phobic. It just means you're just a bit bigger than what they catered for. No one's shaming you for it, saying you're a bad person, but there may be some disadvantages that come with it, and I think you have to be ready to face those. Okay guys, we've reached the end of this video. It's something a bit different from what I usually do. I don't think this is all I'll be doing on my channel, because reaction videos do take a bit of energy out of me. And yeah, I hope you did enjoy the video though. Drop your views in the comment section down below, things that irritate you about this movement as well. And yeah, I'll see you in my next videos. Yeah, bye guys.